the meeting here. A little bit of housekeeping before I turn it over to you, Rob. So this is the as we know, the meeting of Environmental Rules Review Committee. So hopefully everybody's in the right place for that. Please keep your mic or phone muted unless you're speaking, and please don't use the chat function, especially for any official comments. We're gonna try to use the raise hand option today, which is found on the top of your toolbar. Looks like a hand like this. Just go ahead and click that if you want to speak, and we will make sure that you have that opportunity. There is a opportunity later in the meeting for public comment. So if you're from a member of the public, there is that opportunity, and you can raise your hand in the same manner during that part of the meeting in order to be heard. We are recording the meeting, and Dale, have you turned the recording on?
I have, yes, thank you.
Okay, great. And then our last item here is cameras are optional. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Rob.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brad. Welcome everybody to the February meeting of the Environmental Rules Review Committee. Hope everybody's staying warm and doing well. So I will, first item on the agenda, I'll call the meeting to order. Dale, I'll turn it over to you for the roll call.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. And per the Opens Meeting Act requirement, it's noted this meeting of the ERC is being held electronically. When I call your name for roll call and you are present, please state the county you are attending the meeting from remotely for the meeting minutes. And Rob Niederhood.
Present from Wayne County.
Dave Manis.
Present, Isabella County.
Jeremy Orr.
Present, Wayne County.
Great, thanks. Melissa Stultz.
Present, Washtenaw County.
Helen Taylor.
Present, Benzie County.
Shanna Berry.
Present, Kalamazoo.
Mary Ellen Mika.
Present, and Ottawa County.
Hadi Murad.
Present, Oakland County.
Great. Grant Trigger. Is Grant Trigger with us today? Okay, we'll circle back. Walker Modick.
Present, Kalamazoo County.
Okay, and we are expecting Eric Pessel and Chuck Lipstro to be absent today, but I just thought I'd give an opportunity to see if they were able to attend. Okay, so I'm going to circle back. Did Grant Trigger call in? Okay, so it looks like we have 9 members. I'm going to go through non-voting members really quick. James Clift.
Here, Antrim County.
Okay, Jim Johnson.
Present, Ingham County.
Okay, Trevor Van Dyke.
Here, Clinton County.
And Gerald Tiernan. Was Gerald able to attend today? Okay. Looks like we do have a quorum today with 9 voting members. So Rob, I'm gonna pass it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Dale. So next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I think we've got a fairly short meeting today. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Support.
I'm sorry, who did the motion?
That was Missy Stoltz.
Oh, thank you.
Support by Dave Manis.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 All right, anybody opposed? If not, the agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the committee minutes from December 17th, which are attached, included in your meeting packet. Any discussion on the minutes, or I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of the December 17th meeting.
I'll give a motion. So Mary Ellen.
Thank you.
Second by Missy Stoltz.
Thank you.
Thanks. All in favor of approving the December 17th minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed?
I'm sorry, Rob, on this one, we have to actually go through roll call.
Oh, we do. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we do. I'm sorry. So Rob, do you approve the minutes?
Yes.
Yes. And Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Jeremy?
Yes.
Melissa Stoltz?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
China?
Yes.
Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Badee?
Yes.
And Walker?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just wondering if Grant Trigger has joined us yet? No? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the election of the chair and vice chair. We had exchanged emails on this, or at least had sent out an email on this a month or so ago. So the statute provides that the chair and vice chair have a 2-year term. And given that Eric was completing the term of the original vice chair, his term and mine would have both ended in December. Probably should have been on the agenda in December, but wasn't. And I don't think that caused any issues since there was no real official action taken. But the time has come, obviously, to elect the chair and vice chair for another 2-year term. As I stated in the email, I'm happy to continue in this role. I've appreciated the opportunity to work with everybody and get to know a great group of people who are committed to public service and using their expertise and experience on behalf of the state. So I'm certainly willing to continue to serve in the chair role for another 2-year term, and I know Eric has expressed the same willingness to serve as vice chair.
Rob,
yeah.
Rob, as I stated in the email, I'm very supportive of the job that you have done over this past couple of years, and I think Eric has done a really nice job of stepping up as well. And I would be very pleased to nominate you as chair and Eric as vice chair for a 2-year term.
I'll second that. Thanks, Helen.
I appreciate that. One thing I did want to put out, just in the interest of full disclosure, and this would have come up at the next meeting anyway, is that, and this is a sort of recent development, I basically, I'm a lawyer with Foley & Lardner. It's a large, national law firm. I'm not an environmental lawyer. As I've said in many of our discussions, I want to make that clear. And we don't really have an environmental practice in Michigan. But one thing that's come to light in the last month is that we do have a client that has a Michigan site with PFAS issues. And we are representing them on that issue specifically. Some of my colleagues who are based in Wisconsin. And so given that, my firm has asked that I recuse myself from considering the next rule set that's coming up, the remediation rules around PFAS. And so I've discussed that with Eric, and he's happy to lead the discussion on that rule set. Basically, I wouldn't be able to, lead that discussion or vote with respect to the steps that the committee should take on that rule set. And so I wanted everybody to be aware of that, so it was going to come up anyway before you voted on the new chair, so it didn't look like I was pulling a bait and switch or something. I don't expect this to be a recurring issue because it's not a real active area of practice, and it's it's not an area I practice in, but as the lawyers on the phone know, if you're a member of a law firm, you're deemed to represent all the firm's clients. And so I just wanted to put that out there. I also wanted to note that I don't intend for this to like set some precedent in terms of people recusing themselves. It's really a an issue of legal professional responsibility. It's not a committee policy or a state policy. I think we discussed early on that everybody was appointed to this committee because they have experience, because they work in the space. And so, it's, I don't mean to state or imply that people need to recuse themselves if they have some, direct or indirect interest in the rules, or their company does, or the organization they represent does. It's really just, this is totally on the legal Foley side. They wanted me to recuse myself so that, the client couldn't say that I didn't represent them properly. So having said that, I just want to put that out there. It shouldn't change anything as far as the operation of the committee with respect to the forthcoming rules. Like I said, Eric will lead that discussion, but I wanted to put that out there before we voted on the chair and vice chair. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but just wanted you to be aware of that. So any more discussion on the I guess we do have a motion on the table that's been seconded.
I'm sorry, for the meeting minutes, who did, can we separate them for both chair and vice chair election, and then who made the motion for you, Rob?
The motion was made by Dave.
Okay.
And I would be happy to separate the motion. So I'll make a separate motion to elect Robert Netterhood as chair of the committee for the next 2 years.
Okay. And I believe, Helen, you seconded for Rob,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, happy to second both. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, so let's we can vote on the chair motion first. All in favor of me re-upping for another 2-year term?
Yes.
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 All right, anybody opposed? I'll hold it against you. Okay. Dale, so I think the motion is passed.
Okay.
And then we
And
also, go ahead.
I'll make the motion then for the vice chair that we elect Eric for a 2-year term.
And I'll second that. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of electing Eric Pessel to a 2-year term as vice chair, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, Eric is elected for a 2-year term as vice chair. All right, so the next item on the agenda, just a process overview. In talking, Dale and I talking about the meeting, we thought that although we've got a number of members who have been on the committee since day one and have heard the process presentation several times and have gone through the process, we thought it would be a good idea, given we got a couple very new members and a couple of people who sort of the groundwater or drinking water cleanup rules sort of joined the process midstream. We thought it would just be good to take a couple of minutes and just refresh everybody's memory, given that we have the new cleanup criteria rules forthcoming in the next month or so. And just give everyone a refresher on where, when and how those rules will come before the committee, and then what decisions the committee needs to make about how those rules proceed through the rulemaking process. So with that, Dale, do you want to take the lead on that?
I will. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. But what I want to do today is kind of do a high-level overview of the process. for the whole rulemaking process. And then also, after that is complete, go through what we're going to be doing next month, which step in the process we'll look at when the new rule set comes next month. So this document that you're seeing on your screen, can you see it, everybody?
Yes.
Just make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, great. This is the rulemaking process overview document, and this is found on your ERC website at the very bottom of the page for future reference. It doesn't outline the entire rulemaking process with all of the details, but it's a really good high-level overview. So we'll start with step 1, which a division completes this step by holding meetings with impacted stakeholders, where those stakeholders may help EGLE draft proposed rules. And then the second step, which is request for rulemaking, is when EGLE submits to MOAR a proposal for rule changes, which will officially kick off the rulemaking process. The next step for 3 is draft rules and RIS, and the rules are drafted and the RIS completed and sent to MOAR. MOAR will conduct a legal review of the rules, and LSB will edit the rules per formatting guidelines. The RIS, or Regulatory Impact Statement, consists of 38 questions that explains how the proposed rules may impact individuals, businesses, and local governments. And EGLE will then, once completed, submit the draft rules and RIS to MOAR and to the ERC at the same time. After the ERC's had it for about a week to review, a meeting is scheduled where we proceed to step 4 and have the ERC review and vote. So at the next meeting, the RIS and draft rules are presented to the committee, and the rules are reviewed to determine if they meet specific statutory criteria. After that discussion, the ERC votes to allow the rulemaking to proceed without future ERC oversight, allows the rulemaking to proceed with continued ERC oversight, or you can request more time to consider criteria in statute or request EGLE to make changes to the draft rules. Once EGLE gets the go-ahead to proceed, they go to the public hearing, and EGLE will submit to MOAR the public hearing notice. Once MOAR approves it, it is published in 3 newspapers and the Michigan Register, and EGLE will hold the public meeting. After the public meeting is held, then we go to step 6, the updated draft rules. And after that stage of the hearings, EGLE will review all the comments received and make any updates to the draft rules based on any comments received. They will update the draft rules, and then after they have updated the draft rules, then they will compile, EGLE compiles an agency report in which the comments received, in that report is the comments received that affected the draft rules, the transcripts from the hearing, and a copy of the written comments received from the public. And if the ERC has continued oversight of this particular rule set, they will also receive a copy of the agency report. And if you continue oversight of the rule set, we go to the next step, which is number 7, which is where ERC reviews the draft rules and the agency report submitted. Sorry, let me adjust this a little bit. And takes a vote to approve the draft rules and any rulemaking process that goes into that step. Approves the draft rules with modifications or rejects the draft rules. But the last 2 bullets require a letter explaining the decision. But after we go on to the next step, which is JCAR, number 8, MOAR sends the agency report and final draft rules to the legislative committee, and the rules have to be before JCAR for 15 full session days, and they may make one of the following decisions, which is waive the 15 session days and allow the rules to proceed, request EGLE make changes to the rules, or introduce bills to enact the subject of the rule into law, or they can file an objective notice. But if no action is taken, the rules will be filed by MOAR with the Office of the Great Seal after 15 session days expire. And then finally we get to step 9, where EGLE submits to MOAR a certificate of adoption and MOAR files the rules with the Office of the Great Seal, making the draft rules official. So that was a really fast, high-level overview of the entire process. Probably a refresher for most, but if you do want to go back and look at any of those steps in further detail, that is posted on your ERC website. But what I want to, before I go on to the specific steps that we're going to talk about next meeting, was there any questions on the high-level overview?
Dale, I was just going to point out that for those who are visually inclined, there's also the flow chart, which I think most people have seen, which is also on the ERC website, right?
Exactly.
That kind of explains the same, although I think that's more focused on the role of this committee in the rulemaking process.
Yes.
It does kind of walk you through most of these steps as well, and the decisions that the ERC makes and the impact that has on the rulemaking process.
Exactly. And actually, to go over to the step that we are getting to next, I'm going to show that slide. So if you could tell me if you can see that.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So just like Rob said, we do have a flow chart online, and next month we are going to have, or pretty soon in the coming weeks, I'm going to be sending you the draft rules and RIS for RRD's cleanup criteria requirements for response activity. You'll get about a week or so to review the documents, and then we're going to have our next ERC meeting. And this is where we're going to pick up in that flow chart. So at this meeting, RRD will give a presentation on the draft rules and the RIS. The ERC will have an opportunity for Q&A, and then we'll proceed to this step here of the rulemaking process, where we get to decide or determine if the rule set meets specific criteria set in statute. And just for reference, if you're new to the flowcharts online, if you want to know what step in statute that each of these steps fulfill, you'll see the rule number, section number, and rule number. But so next week when we meet, we are going to look at section 66.4, where we'll have a presentation of the rules and the draft rules and the RIS, and have a question and answer session. And then what we're going to do is make sure that the draft rules meet the following criteria. And this is set in statute, that MOHAR has certified the draft proposed rules do not exceed the rulemaking delegation. And actually, that's pretty much going to always be checked for that first box, because you're never going to see a draft rule set that comes to you before MOAR has approved them legally. The second criteria that you'll look at is the draft rules reasonably implement and apply the statute authorizing the rulemaking, and that is consistent with all other applicable law. Also, the draft proposed rules are necessary and suitable to achieve their purposes in proportion to the burdens they place on individuals and businesses. And the draft proposed rules are as clear and ambiguous as reasonably appropriate. And then finally, the draft proposed rules are based on sound and objective scientific reasoning. So that is what we're going to start with the discussion for next month, once you get those. And then after the discussion has taken place, then the voting starts. So there's 3 different options that you can vote after considering all of the criteria. Excuse me, I'm going to start getting a little hoarse. We can, by a vote of 9 members, allow the rulemaking to proceed without future ERC oversight. Or B, by a majority vote, the rules meet the criteria in the previous slide and can proceed to a public hearing, and we'll continue the rulemaking process with the ERC oversight. So after the public hearing process, it will come back to the committee. Or C, by a majority of the voting members, either a determination that the draft proposed rule set meet the criterion for, or that additional review is needed. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at next month as an overview. And again, we're going to have these slides for your guidance next month as well. But this just gives you a little bit of a preview and a refresher for those that it's been over a year for, or for the new members that haven't seen these at all. Any questions on this? I know I speak really fast sometimes.
Dale, just confirming, you said we'd have roughly 10 days from like when we'll meet, we'll get the materials. Is that roughly right?
We're going for roughly a week, at least a week, yes. If for any reason, for example, our next meeting next month is scheduled for March 18th. If for any reason you don't have the rules and the RIS a week before the 18th, then what we'll probably do is postpone the meeting by week, because we want to at least give you a week to review everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll keep you updated on the status. So if we do have to extend the meeting out a little bit to give you more time to review, then I'll communicate that to you. Any other questions? Sorry, I went really fast.
Well, I think that was pretty clear. And obviously, if anybody has any questions, once you get the rules or in the meantime about the process, feel free to reach out. You know, Dale and I, between the two of us, can clarify anything.
Oh, I did want to mention one other thing. Sorry to interrupt, Rob.
No,
Rob had mentioned that if there's any questions that you wish to have answered at the presentation next week, to please email them to me, and I'll make sure that we'll have the proper people there for the presentation to answer any questions that you can think of in advance. Thank you.
At the March meeting, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have the opportunity to ask questions at the moment too? Or do they have to only be in advance?
Well, you can in the moment of the meeting, absolutely. They don't have to be in advance, but right now, if it's pertaining to that particular rule set, I don't have anybody from Eagle here to provide any answers today. But
right, and I think Mary Ellen, you know, sometimes what we've seen before is that questions will come up the day of, and you know, maybe the right person there from Eagle staff isn't at the meeting. So the benefit of asking them in advance is they'll make sure the right person is there. But certainly you'll have questions or you'll have the opportunity to ask questions that come to mind based on the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Dale? All right, thanks again, Dale. And I think we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. So Brad, do you handle that, or Dale, in terms of?
I can, Rob. I don't see anybody. If now would be the time if anybody wants to provide public comment to unmute themselves. It looks like the folks on the phone are already unmuted, and just identify who you are, or you don't have to identify who you are, but just identify what your comment is and provide it. I'm not seeing anybody, Rob.
Okay. All right.
is there anybody by the phone that wishes to make a verbal comment? All right.
Okay, hearing none, then we will move on to adjournment. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is that Fadi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Seconded by Missy Stoltz.
Thanks, Missy. Missy seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anybody opposed? Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. We'll see you all in March, I hope. And take care.
Stay warm.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.